On to my cancers. So you have the Eight of Swords, the World, the Tower, Ace of Wands, the Devil, the Sun, the Seven of Wands, the King of Swords, the Two of Cups, and the Hanged Man. So what I'm seeing here for a lot of you Cancer crabs, the Devil does represent Capricorn, which is your opposite zodiac sign. The Eight of Swords, the World, and the Tower. The World also represents Capricorn, which is your opposite zodiac sign. So a lot of drawing from the polar opposite energy on that axis, right? The Eight of Swords, the World, and the Tower is about how a lot of you Cancer crabs are kind of, okay, so you Cancer crabs, the Eight of, okay, wow. I'm impressed with you Cancers. I am. I really am. I got to give y'all my respect. I got to give you a salute, because the Eight of Swords, the World, and the Tower represents a lot of you Cancer crabs are walking away from this victimhood mentality that a lot of y'all have. The mentality of y'all can't do anything about certain circumstances and how people treated y'all. A lot of you Cancers are kind of really walking away from that, of thinking that somehow somebody conned you or somebody played you, and that's not necessarily really the case. And the World and the Tower represents you Cancer crabs coming to a point of learning how to actually confront when you have a problem in your life with difficulties, actually addressing the problems head on, facing the problems, instead of always, potentially looking at somebody else and how they hurt your feelings. I just want to say I really appreciate you Cancer crabs for really doing that. And I also want to say that I appreciate y'all for not, not taking anything that I'm saying personally, because we all know how emotional people can become, whether it's me, whether it's anybody. And I just want to say thank you for that. You know what I mean? Because I understand that my communication style is very brutally honest, but brutally honest, or brutal honesty, is really what's missing in this world right now. The ability to have someone tell you what it is and have you come out of the illusion so you can actually live in a real way that empowers you, not disempowers you, that empowers you. So a lot of you Cancer crabs are actually walking away from that type of mentality too, and that you're learning to take a look at yourselves in the mirror and understand that what some of the things that you've done as far as relationships is concerned, you do have to take into consideration that you had a part to play in this. That's very good. The Ace of Wands and the Devil represents, so as a result, the Ace of Wands and the Devil is you also paying close attention to the connections, whom it is that you are connected to, and how those connections not only make you feel, but are they actually beneficial to you, right? And I'm gonna have to do a video in the future talking about why managing your emotions is actually beneficial for you, and why it's conducive, or why it's a good thing to actually manifest what you want. You're not going to be able to manifest the reality that you want. Everybody talks about manifesting, but you need to learn to control your emotions if you're going to manifest. Now take into consideration how emotional so many people are who can't get their emotions under control. You understand what I'm saying? So you Cancer crabs actually inspired me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that video coming up right after this batch, right? Because y'all wanted it, so y'all going to get it. So the Ace of Wands and the Devil now represents, again, paying attention to the types of relationship styles that you've been in. And one of the things that you Cancer crabs realize about the attention types, or the attention styles that you've been in, is that a lot of them are usually the two of you that have some form of connection with each other, but a lot of it, not saying all, but a lot of it is quite unhealthy. It's obsessive, where the person may be obsessed with you, or you may end up really liking the person, but at the same time, the person does something that you don't like. You do something that the person doesn't like. Maybe the other person may cheat. Maybe you may go out and you may want to hang out with your friends or something like this. and the person doesn't like it. So now it stirs up this problem between yourself and your significant other and yourself, where the two of you are not really on speaking terms because they're unwilling to grow, change, learn, and you believe that you're right. This is more, I'm so glad this outlook that a lot of you Cancers are starting to understand is that you Cancers are starting to really take into consideration that a lot of you do have to take partial, not total, but partial responsibility for the fact that some of your relationships don't necessarily pan out the way that you want it to. And part of it is because of you. Yes, the other half of it has to deal with them, but you're paying attention to what they've got going on, what you did, what they did, and what you've learned from the situation. And that can only make you better if you start to actually implement this type of stuff, make it practical, and actually start doing what you've learned. The Sun and the Seven of Wands represents, so as a result, what does this mean? The Sun and the Seven of Wands represents, and this type of new outlook that a lot of you Cancer crabs have, this is going to bring in a lot of benefits for you if you're not already taking action to actually start undoing some of those curses that some of you Cancer crabs have, because all of the zodiac signs have their own individual curse, i.e. weaknesses, that they are going to have to learn to get over. All of the zodiac signs have their strengths. All of their zodiac signs have their weaknesses. And some of their strengths and their weaknesses overlap between the two. But with the Sun and the Seven of Wands, this speaks to how a lot of you Cancer crabs are actually learning to accept responsibility for the things that you've done wrong, and you're accepting it within yourself and learning how to move forward with your lives in a very constructive way by actually doing what? And this is where the Sun comes into play, because it's the realization, it's the awareness. The Sun, or Leo, just doesn't represent a planet. The Sun represents awareness, the spotlight, the giant spotlight, right? And it brings attention to something. So the Sun, that attention now is now about the types, is now about learning how to be more responsible for the types of relationships that you get into, and how you Cancer crabs do not want dysfunctional relationships, and y'all are actually, not listening to be offended. You're listening to actually come to a solution to your problems. Great. That's where you Cancer crabs need to be. You Cancer crabs are talented. I know a lot of you Cancer crabs off screen. A lot of y'all are talented. A lot of y'all are intelligent. Trust me, yeah, I have a long history with Cancer crabs. Y'all can't say that I don't like y'all, because I have a lot of Cancer crabs who out there who I know who do love me. You understand what I'm saying? Who are longtime supporters of the channel and my brutal honesty, right? And I've even spoken to Cancer crabs and asked them, why is it that Cancers in general do this? Why is it that y'all do that? They told me directly what it is. So it's not hypothesis. The stuff that I'm saying is not based off of hypothesis. This is me actually getting into conversations with people who have Cancer as the ascendant, right? There's Sun in Cancer, a Cancer moon, Venus in Cancers. They have tons of Cancer crab placements. So I'm actually asking these people these questions, and they're actually giving me the answer to the questions that I'm asking, because I want to understand. I want to be able to take a look at any of the zodiac sign and understand you intimately better, so that I can give you a proper understanding and give you better solutions. It's not about just me staying in one place. It's about me being able to really see the bigger picture, and at the same time pinpoint what exactly is going on with y'all to help fix those problems. And I just want to say, for you Cancer crabs, this is amazing, because this is something that you've had to learn to do for a while. And I know I've been a little bit rough on y'all, but I'm not being rough because I'm trying to be cruel. I'm being rough because This is the type of stuff that not a lot of people on the internet is going to tell you, is to address your weaknesses. So the Sun card represents bringing the attention to that you can become offended at the most minuscule or the petty things, as opposed to understanding that you need to put in work. Now, you Cancer crabs are now starting to implement this, put in the work, so that you won't be so offended with things that are petty, and you actually get a chance to actually be like an Aquarius in the regard, or Pisces in the regard, and see the bigger picture, understand it from a bigger grand scheme. That no, most people who are in your life are not trying to insult you. They're not. That's just an illusion in your head. How do I know this? Is because my sister, who's dating a Cancer crab, my sister's a Pisces, the person that my sister is dating is a Cancer crab. I was hanging out with my sister. I'm not going to tell you all that, but I'm hanging out with my sister, and her boyfriend called, and which is the Cancer crab, and the Cancer crab asked my sister, hung up the phone. So my sister was like, let me go ahead and call the Cancer crab back. Call the Cancer crab back. My sister was like, why'd you put down the phone? Now I'm listening to this. I'm just not saying anything. My sister was like, why'd you put down the phone? Because I thought you said you wanted such. And my sister was like, yeah, but you said at this particular time. You didn't show up at this particular time. And that's the kind of interaction that I'm talking about. They eventually said, respectfully, they're biased. They're not breaking up, but they eventually was able to squash that, is the point that I'm trying to make. It's because of your false perception, Cancer, that people are insulting you. They're not insulting you. They're not. That's not what they're doing. It's just that the way that a lot of you Cancer crabs move, okay, can sometimes be like Pisces, where it throws people off and people have schedules to keep. I've grown up with this. It's not about insulting you. It's not. And I can show and prove with even more evidence that it's not about insulting you. But the thing about it is that the King of Swords represents, so now this is where your common sense plays more of a bigger role for you. Because now you get a chance to free yourself up from thinking that people are trying to insult you and disrespect you, and they don't mean the best for you. The Two of Cups and the Hanged Man represents, now you get a chance to actually start to, when you interact with people, you're able to perceive people in a more correct manner, as to where instead of taking everything to be an insult, you actually get a chance to pay attention to the value of the person, instead of you paying attention to the misperceived, because it's not real, the misperceived insult. So what does this mean for you Cancers? So in other words, you Cancers will be able to make better decisions when it comes to yourself, your life overall, and getting to know other people, because you will not be, there's less of a need to protect yourself, because no one's, for the most part, is trying to attack you. The people who are trying to actually attack you, then you can put up the shell. But the people who are not trying to attack you, there is no need to be enclosed then. So let's clarify. Let's clarify the Two of Cups. Very important. It was very important that I say this to you Cancers, because I peep how Cancer crab moves, and like Cancer crab be be thinking that everybody's insulting them. And it's like, yo, you got a lot of love out here. I don't know why. You know, I was in love with a Cancer crab for many, 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 many years. Like, you got a lot of love. But see, and this is going to be in a video, a video coming up, but I didn't receive the love back. The Cancer crab would come over, run the same okie doke game, play like, you know what I'm saying, they doing bad. And I would feed this Cancer crab because this Cancer crab didn't have anywhere to go. Because this Cancer crab was rebellious. So guess what? Parents kicked them out. Or more accurately, they left. Would feed this Cancer crab, and this Cancer crab would essentially, this was more than 10 years ago. I would feed this Cancer crab, and this Cancer crab would essentially take my money and leave. Talk about how it is, you know, that I didn't make them feel comfortable enough, and I was uncomfortable. But why would this Cancer crab knock on my door and come into my apartment at 1 a.m. by themselves if they felt so uncomfortable? And nothing, you know, nothing would happen to them. But this is what it is, and I'm talking about the idea of you taking it. You got a lot of love. You taking it, but you spinning it to be something that is not. And you Cancer crabs are slowly and surely starting to realize that you can't do that. And I'm glad for you Cancer crabs who are getting it. So to clarify the Two of Cups, you have the Six of Wands, the Queen of Wands, the Four of Wands, and the Sun, which represents, again, people's interest in you. Guess what? You'll be able to make better decisions. If their interest in you is dysfunctional, you don't have to stay with them. You'll just bounce because you know they're being dysfunctional. And in the Four of Wands and the Sun card, again, your inner value will be intact. So you don't have to spend so much of your time interacting with them. The Four of Wands, because you know what's important to you, and you know that these people trying to be in your life to leech off of you, it's not the reason why, it's not one of the reasons why you want to stick around anybody, because they're trying to be a leech. So that's pretty much it. Comment on the video, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If this video brought you value, if you found value, if you got value from this reading, then it means it's time for you to come get a personal reading. A personal reading from me. There's a link in the comment section called the link tree. Click on it. It will redirect you to a website in which has all my social media outlets and ways you can financially support me, from my website, the books that I have that are on Amazon, my clothing store, and my Instagram page. If you need any kind of help to get a private tarot reading, then you can feel free to contact me at Kareemspiritworks@yahoo.com. I am available to do personal readings today. Peace.